Shloshim for Lynda Steiner, Leah Shalom, Leah Chana Bashmul. It's hard to imagine that a month has gone by already. Tonight and tomorrow, of course, is the observance of the Shloshim. Wanted to thank Rabbi Baum and Nicole for putting together this siyum and the refreshments, and for Rabbi Baum for actually learning, preparing to make the siyum, which he will in a moment. Our schedule will be as follows. Rabbi Baum will make a siyum, and then we'll have a kaddish, and then Rabbi Blau, a very special relationship with Lynda, will speak, and then Joey will speak, and then we'll have the Kelmal Rachamim, and then refreshments afterwards. Just a thought, the Chazal tell us, Godol Hamasa Yoser Min Ha'oseh. Now, when it comes to the mitzvah tzedakah, for example, we all know how important it is to give tzedakah, but the Gemara Chazal tell us that the causing others to give tzedakah is even greater. In other words, if I go and I collect tzedakah from you, so not only am I causing, but I'm actually causing others to do the mitzvah. So I was thinking maybe we could probably assume the same thing when it comes to Limud Torah. Lynda was so involved in our community in adult education and programs, both in the Mizrahi, in the Torah Tzion Kolel, and Green Road, did so many things for Torah learning that I think it's very appropriate that there should be a siyum, because what better way to memorialize her than through the study of Torah, which meant so much to her and to her family. With that in mind, I'm going to ask Rabbi Baum to make a siyum on Seches Tamid, and we'll begin the program.
The final Mishnah at the conclusion of Maseches Tamid reads, Hashir shahayu alviyim oimer b'mikdash. The shir, the tehillim that the Levium would sing in the Beis HaMikdash, depended on the day. They would sing a different shir depending on what day of the week it was. So on the first day, B'yom HaRishon hayu oimrim l'Hashem ha'aretz u'maloya tevel v'yosh ve'va. On the first day, they would say the tehillim of l'Hashem ha'aretz u'maloya tevel v'yosh ve'va. Basheni hayu oimrim gadol Hashem u'muhul ma'oid be'er l'keinu har kachoi. Bashlishi hayu oimrim l'kim nitzo ba'ad askel b'ker v'l'kim yishpoit. B'revi'i hayu oimrim. On Wednesday they would say kel nekamis Hashem, kel nekamis Efia. B'chamishi hayu oimrim. On Thursday they would say harninu le'lakim uzenu hariu le'lakei Yaakov. B'shishi hayu oimrim. On the sixth day, on Friday, they would say Hashem malach deus lovesh v'goimer. And b'Shabbos hayu oimrim. On Shabbos they would say mizmor shir liyom HaShabbos. They would say the Kapitel Tehillim, which begins with the phrase Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos. And then the Mishnah says about that, Mizmor Shir La'asad Lavai, it's like a tefillah. The Masechta of Tamid is a Masechta that discusses the Avodah and the Beis HaMikdash. So the Masechta ends with a tefillah that Mizmor Shir La'asad Lavai, we should merit to have the day when that Mizmor, that will be a Shira on the future times, Liyom Shekulai Shabbos, a day which will be only Shabbos, where all our life will be like one long Shabbos, and Menucha L'chai Ha'olam. Hadron Allah Bizman Shekayin Gadol Uslik Allah Meseches Tamid. Hadron Allah Meseches Tamid v'Hadron Chalon. Daitan Allah Meseches Tamid v'Daitan Chalon. Leinis Neshem Yinoch Meseches Tamid v'Leisis Neshem Yinon. Leibaal Mahadin v'Leibaal Madasei. Hadron Allah Meseches Tamid v'Hadron Chalon. Daitan Allah Meseches Tamid v'Daitan Chalon. Leinis Neshem Yinoch Meseches Tamid v'Leisis Neshem Yinon. Leibaal Mahadin v'Leibaal Madasei. Hadron Allah Meseches Tamid v'Hadron Chalon. Daitan Allah Meseches Tamid v'Daitan Chalon. Leinis Neshem Yinoch Meseches Tamid v'Leisis Neshem Yinon. Leibaal Mahadin v'Leibaal Madasei. Hirotzain Mufanech Adonai Eloheinu v'Lehavasinu Shetei Torah Slavum Anuseinu B'Olam Hazeh. Usehei Imanu L'Olam Haba, Chanina Bar Papa, Rami Bar Papa, Nachman Bar Papa, Achoi Bar Papa, Abamori Bar Papa, Rafram Bar Papa, Rochesh Bar Papa, Surcha Bar Papa, Adda Bar Papa, Doru Bar Papa. Harev No Adonai Eloheinu Esteves Rascha Befinu V'Fiyo Esamcha Beis Yisrael V'Nia Kulonu Anachnu V'Tzetzoinu V'Tzetzoyamcha Beis Yisrael Kulonu Yodei Shemecha V'Loim Deiser Esecha Me'oivai Techakmeni Mitzvaysecha Ki Lo'olam Hili. Yehi Libi Samid B'Chukecha L'man Lo Yevosh Lo'olam Lo Yashkach B'Chudecha Kivam Chinisani Baruch Ato Adonai Lamdeinu Chukecha Amen 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 Sela Va'ed. Moidem anachnu lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'lehavasinu shesamta chalkeinu b'yoshvei beis hamidrash v'leisamta chalkeinu b'yoshvei kronos she'anu mashkimim v'hem mashkimim anu mashkimim l'divei soyer v'hem mashkimim l'dvarim b'telim anu amelim v'hem amelim anu amelim u'mekabelim sachar v'hem amelim v'einu mekabelim sachar anu rotzim v'hem l'chai olam haba v'hem rotzim l'ber shachas shenemar v'ator lehim toridim l'ber shachas anshe domim u'mirma lo yechetzu yameim v'ani aftach bach. Yehirotzain Lufanecha Adonai Elehai, Kishem Shaz Artani, Lasayim Meseches Tamid, Kenta Azreni Lahaskal Mesechtes, Yisforim Acherim, Lasayim Mamlul Moidu Lalamid, Nishmar Belasis, Lakayim, Eskodivri, Salmater Secha Be'ava. Uzchus Kol Atanoim, V'amiroim, B'Salmid Chachomim, Yamar Leo, Lizari, Shalitomash Aterim, Yipiyum, Pizari, V'Zarazari, Adoilam, V'Siskayim, Libes, Alecha, Chotancho Isach, B'Shach B'Cha Tishmar Alecha, V'Akitzoisa, Hisis Yechecha, Kivir, B'Yomecha, V'Yosif L'Chosh Neschayim, Oyrech Yom B'Mino, Bismillah, Oisha, Bechaver, Adonai Islam, Yutin, Adonai Baruch, and Moira Shalom.
Amen. Amen. Yesh me Rabba Mavarak, Lama Meo Maya. Brachu. Amen. 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 Amen.
The Robert Bernstein. We also want to begin by giving a yashikah and express our debt of Akar Satov to Ravel and the Kola for setting up this night of learning, and the Siyam and B'nei Nishmas Lynda Steiner. Ravel has a lot going on. He and his wife have a bris tomorrow morning. Mazel tov. So may this be a schus for the young man and for all the Mahabbatas Torah that you engage in. I want to start off by commenting the words of Chazal. Chazal make the observation that the person who feels the pain and the loss of a spouse most acutely is the remaining spouse. The one who feels the loss of a wife, says the Gemara, is the husband. And really express our collective condolences and sympathy to Joey. He and Lynda had a beautiful, beautiful love affair. They were married together and went back to their high school years. We won't say exactly the age that they started dating or sort of knew each other, back when they were teenagers, and they had a fierce and passionate relationship for many, many decades. And they raised together an incredible family, and the legacy of what both of them have accomplished will last a lifetime. So that's what we start off by acknowledging that fact, and really, as a community, we are here for you, and we will be for you for all time. I want to focus on three aspects of Lynda's personality, three characteristics that I think captured her essence, and at the same time are really lessons that all of us can learn. Learn from the way she conducted herself, learn from her life, and hopefully, as we will remember her, of course, and cherish her memories, but even more deeply, emulate some of the characteristics that she possessed that were so exemplary. The first midah, the first character trait I want to focus on is that of loyalty. Lynda was an incredibly loyal person. I look around the room and I know the many people who were her good friends. And if you were her friend, that was a reciprocal relationship. Those people were good friends to her in return because she earned and deserved that type of reaction. She was there when you needed her. That's who she was. Didn't matter the time of day, didn't matter the situation. If she made a commitment to whatever it was, that was a commitment that would be honored. That was the way she was with her friends. That was the way she was with her community activities. I know that, thank God, Baruch Hashem, we have so many people, we didn't have enough room to have this event upstairs. And that's a tribute to who she is and who she was. But at the same time, in many ways, it would have been fitting for us to be upstairs, because she gave so much to the Torah Mitzio Kollel in that room, and she had an incredible loyalty to its success. Lynda was always about doing what was necessary. She worked so hard and tirelessly, and she was no nonsense. If you knew Lynda, she did it the way it had to get done. She didn't care about the fanfare. She didn't care about anything else. What she cared about was honoring her commitment to the community, her commitment to the cause, her commitment to the task at hand. It is an incredible character trait. And indeed, as I mentioned a moment ago, the way her friends responded to her and the care and love they gave in return was because that's what she gave to them, and they felt the natural need to reciprocate. It's a powerful, powerful midah, one we can learn from. I worked with her closely for many, many years. We had the pleasure of working together when she became the administrator of the Torah Kola, succeeding the big footsteps of Vicky Froelich, who's with her tonight. She and Harold are here from Eretz Yisrael. Specifically, we arranged their trip so they could be here this evening. And Lynda first worked as a volunteer, and then worked as the administrator. And then when the Kollel sort of segued into something a little different, she was my partner in the Adult Education Committee with her good friends, Debbie Senders and and Elizabeth Sunshine, the three of them would come and meet with me, and I knew that if a task was decided that they were going to do it with Lynda at the head, it would get done. She honored her commitments. She was an incredibly loyal individual. And that really transitions into the second point that I'd like to make, the second characteristic, and Rav Bernstein alluded to it beforehand. She was an incredible spreader of Torah. Really, really incredible. She was an amazing educator in her own right. That's what she had done in her career. A very gifted educator for many, many years here in Cleveland. And while she did that as her vocation, and she did that as her job, but her passion was making sure that our community was able to study Torah at a high level. And she devoted so much to it. Working as administrator of the Kollel was not a job of glory. Didn't pay very much, but it paid dividends in the most beautiful of ways. And Lynda was always concerned, how can we do more? What else can we do? I was thinking as my wife Faith and I drove up tonight to the event, how many times we were here together with Lynda, sometimes worrying, was anybody coming? A lot of people coming, a few people coming. But Lynda worked so hard to make sure that the Kollel survived, and not only survived, but thrived. We'd sit together and plan what activity would increase the most amount of people coming to learn. What would be the most successful? How could we touch all the members of the community? How could we get everybody involved? She arranged one of the things she prized most, with the Cyril Green Lecture Series, arranged by her good friend Nancy Ader, where there we have shiurim for women, by women. And that was very important to Lynda, very important to all of us, but very important that everyone was engaged in Talmud Torah. Everyone was engaged in the teaching of Torah. Everyone was engaged in the learning of Torah. And that's a second attribute, a second characteristic that, again, we should all try to emulate in our own ways. Not all of us are going to take on the really large tasks that she did, but in our own way, making sure that the Torah is spread to everyone in the community. It was something she believed in so strongly, something that really we need to perpetuate to continue her legacy. And the third and final attribute I'd like to mention and discuss is her incredible level of faith. Lynda was really sick. Pause, I apologize. She was sick for a long time. And you go to visit her, and I hate to say it, she looked terrible. She looked terrible for a long time. And I'd come back shaken from the visits, and Lynda would be positive. Oh no, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to find a way to beat the cancer that she was fighting. And in many ways, she really did. Time after time, when I think, and all of us, and I see the people in the room who did incredible things, and I'll let Joey thank those individuals who were with her in the hospital, who were with her in her home, who slept there, who did so much for her. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, she engendered those types of friendships. And you would think, okay, this is not really a good situation. She's not going to last for a long period of time. And she fought. And she believed. The call at Emunah is one term. She had that faith in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and she had that confidence and optimism. No matter what the situation, it was going to be better. She had that faith when she and I dealt with Kollel things, and we thought the Kollel wasn't going to go survive, and she thought that would go on, and it did. On a lighter note, and on a more deep and profound note, when it came to her own illness, she had that confidence. And those of us know a number of months ago when we thought the time was really near, and we were really fearful, and she bounced back. She bounced back again. And she fought so hard, and she wanted to continue. She wanted to continue for her family. She wanted to continue for her community. She wanted to continue to do that mission she had of spreading Torah to so much of our kehillah, how much of our community. And in many ways, she and I talked, and even near the end, she was praying for another miracle, and we both agreed, Lynda, you have many miracles. You had so many miracles that allowed you to keep going, that allowed you to have that extra time with your children, that extra time with your Bat L'chaim, her wonderful husband, that extra time with all her friends. There are so many qualities we could talk about, but again, I just wanted to focus on these three. Wanted to talk about, of course, her bond with her family, which is a whole separate category, her loyalty to her friends and to her commitments, her incredible love of Torah and the spreading of Torah, and her emunah and her faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and her faith that things would always be better. Her legacy lasts way beyond that which she accomplished, that which she taught us. Yehi Zichra Baruch. May her memory be a blessing. Amen.
It's really difficult to believe that this is an event for Lynda that we're talking about. I think she would have preferred that I talk about Torah rather than she, so I'm going to honor that. These are ideas from Rav David Silverberg of Har Zion Yeshiva. What parsha is more perfect when describing Lynda than Truma? Much of her adult life was devoted to giving as many of you know. Truma opens Vayikhu li Truma, that Bnei Israel should donate materials for the construction of the Mishkan, its furnishings, and the priestly garments. The use of the verb lamed kuf chaf seems peculiar in its usage here, as it means take. Hashem here calls upon the people to give materials, and yet he formulates the command with the word yikhu, they should take. Ibn Ezra dismisses this question altogether, claiming that the verb lamed kuf chaf can take on both meanings, give and take. Although its more common meaning is take, Ibn Ezra contends that when this verb is immediately followed by the preposition li, to, or for, it should be interpreted as give. Ibn Ezra compares this word to the biblical word sar, which means move away when it is followed by the preposition mi, from, but assumes the opposite meaning, approach, when followed by li. The verb lamed kuf chaf, to, according to Ibn Ezra, can denote either of the opposite meanings, give or take, depending on the preposition by which it is followed. Others, however, including Sforno, claim that the Torah instructs Bnei Israel to take and not to give. The command here was not to donate materials, but rather to appoint officials, gaboim, to solicit donations. Hashem used the word yikhu because his command was for Bnei Israel to assign a team of collectors to receive donations and materials for the Mishkan. The question then arises, why did Hashem formulate the command in this way? Why was it important to instruct the people to fundraise rather than directly requiring them to donate materials? We find two different approaches to this question in the commentaries. Malbim explained that Hashem issued a command to solicit donations rather than to give donations, so that the materials would be given voluntarily out of a desire to participate in the project, not simply to comply with the divine command. It did not say they shall give me a donation, because this would then be an affirmative command and an obligation upon each person to give. Hashem wanted this donation to be made voluntarily with free will and not through any sort of coercion. If the command was to give, they would give out of obligation because of the command. Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch offers a different reason. Nothing is to be given directly to Hashem, but the gifts of each individual are to be given to the community for the divine purposes. This implies that it's not the individual of the community who has to erect the institutions for God's purposes, and it is not for single givers, but for the community that these arrangements have to be established. According to Rav Hirsch, Hashem formulated the command in this way so that the donations would be a national rather than individual undertaking. Constructing the Mishkan was an obligation cast upon the nation as a whole, rather than a direct personal obligation upon each person to supply materials. The nation as a unit was charged with setting up the systems that would facilitate the construction of the Mishkan, emphasizing the communal nature of this and other religious institutions. The Malbim later in his commentary to this verse proposes an entirely different reason for why the Torah formulated this command with the term yikhu. This alludes to what David HaMelech said, everything is from you, and what we give you is from your possessions, in Divrei Hayamim. All possessions belong to God, and they are his. They do not belong to the person. It is only at the time when he donates for the sake of heaven that he earns the right of being considered as owning them. At that point, he takes from Hashem, acquires ownership over it, and is considered as donating his own property for the sake of heaven. Malbim explains that ironically it is only by donating our material possessions to a higher purpose that we take possession of them. All material assets essentially belong to the Almighty and not to their purported human owners. But when we donate, we are at that point given ownership over that which we donate, so that we can then be considered as having given something that we own. Hashem therefore refers to the donation of materials within the term yikhu to indicate that by donating, we actually end up taking full possession of our assets. It has already been mentioned many times how Lynda volunteered and provided assistance for our community as a whole, as well as many individuals. She hopefully took the spliss of her multitude of chesed acts with her and is flourishing wherever she may be. We would like to thank Rabbi Baum and the Young Israel Kolo for offering to set up this event tonight. But we especially want to thank the rabbis of the city, especially Rabbi Blau and Rabbi Bernstein, who've been so comforting and helpful. We, Johnny, Ricky, and I knew we had a wonderful community, but never imagined the outpouring of love and support we have received. Although we miss Lynda terribly, as she was the backbone of our family, we thank you from the proverbial bottoms of our hearts for all you have done. We will continue to need your kindness for some time as we start to cope with this painful loss. May Lynda's neshama be a meilitz yashar for all of us, and Hashem end all of our pain, bringing the days of Mashiach b'mihra b'yameinu.
Let's rise for the Kilm Olei Rachamim. Kilm Olei Rachamim, Shoichein B'Meromim, Hametzei Menucha Nechona, Al Kanpei HaShechina, B'Ma'alos Kedoshim Utorim Kizor Harakia Masirim, Es Nishmas Le'achana Bashmuel Shalcha Lo'olama, Bavur Shonu Bispalim Baraskaras Nishmasa, V'Gan Eden Tei Menuchasa, Lo'chein Balarachamim, Yasirav V'Seisher Kenafav Le'olamim, B'Yitzror Achayim Es Nishmasa, Adonai Hu Nachalasa, Sanuach V'Shalom Al Mishkava V'Noimar. Amen. Please join us for some of the refreshments as part of the siyum that are outside.